The birds might be flying, but more help could actually be on the way, both inside the front office and the locker room. But will the latter create more drama than expected? Also, how come DeVonta Smith's production has been way down the past few weeks, and why the Eagles' main focus on Sunday night is not the Ram receivers? I'm Thomas Mott, this is the Thomas Mott Show. Well, if you checked in on the Dallas Cowboys last night, you literally got to watch the sky falling for Big D as a metal piece of their retractable roof fell on the sideline, landing just a few feet away from people. And to make matters worse, last night's boys' loss set an NFL record 6 straight home loss by 20 or more points, bringing their total time with a lead in the last 6 home games to just 2 minutes and 15 seconds versus 109 minutes and 2 seconds down by 20 plus. It's nice to say the Cowboys are officially done this year. The NFC East is a 2-horse race, and yet the Eagles have a pretty big lead in that category as well. Now this morning, Jalen Hurts was in New York City on Good Morning America to promote his new foundation, whose news initiative helps put air conditioners in Philadelphia area schools for every touchdown Hurts scores this season. Right now, Jalen has 23 touchdowns to be exact in just 10 games, so it sounds like a lot of AC upgrades are going to be happening in a local Philly school near you. Also happening just a few hours ago was the firing of GM Joe Douglas by the New York Jets following their abysmal start to the 2024 season. Now, Douglas was the Eagles' vice president of player personnel before taking on the Jets' GM job. It was an integral piece of the Birds' 2017, 2018, and 2019 NFL drafts. And coming back to the Birds might be in play, according to the NFL Network's Mike Garfolo, who tweeted this morning, quote, Ravens, Eagles, and other teams think highly of Joe Douglas. Out as the Jets GM, but sure to find his next role in the NFL in short order. The Jets hired Joe Douglas because of all the work he did in Philadelphia. He was an integral part in a lot of drafts and a lot of pretty solid draft picks, and so bringing him back into the scouting department, back into the whole draft area in the front office, it makes a ton of sense to me and could happen sooner rather than later. Now going back to the Thursday win against the Commanders, the one main concern I think for a lot of Bird fans has to be Jake the Make suddenly turning into Jake the Miss. Elliot is now over 4 on 50-plus yard field goals this season, and of course missed 3 kicks in the Birds' win versus the Commanders. Maybe it's just bad luck, or the swirling wind on Thursday, or is Jake actually regressing? Well, special teams coordinator Michael Clay thinks none of the above.
I know the big question is how do you feel about it? I have such supreme confidence in Jake, and at times it's just not your day. We'd be probably a little bit more on edge if the ball was sprayed all over the place, but if you saw the 3 kicks, they missed in the exact same spot, right off that left upright. It was a draw, and it just kind of overdrew on him with a little bit of wind.
It is worth noting, Elliot only missed 1 field goal of 50-plus last season, and thankfully so far, we haven't really needed him to hit a big game winner, buzzer-beating field goal. Still, with a tricky schedule coming up, Jake the Make, get away from Jake the Miss, you gotta figure things out pretty quickly. Also, as you know, Christmas is coming up, which means sock season is officially upon us, and our channel sponsor for today is Bombas, who literally have the most comfortable socks on the market. Bombas has spent years designing the most comfortable and durable socks on the entire market, and their new holiday drop is here, which has the plushiest, softest, and again, most comfortable essentials for the season. Oh, and by the way, they don't just do socks, which again, if you just want socks, these are literally insanely comfortable. I've been wearing them all over the house for really the better part of 2 weeks, but they also do t-shirts, which you see me wearing right here, which likewise is insanely comfortable, underwear, slippers, and a whole bunch more. The other great thing about Bombas is they've given away millions of socks to places like homeless shelters, rehab centers, and to medical service professionals. Right now, they've given away over 150 million pieces of clothing, which, again, is such a great cause. And overall, Bombas makes the top 3 most requested clothing items at homeless shelters across the nation. Right now, new customers can get 20% off their first order by going to bombas.com/ThomasMott and use the promo code ThomasMott at checkout. Trust me, you're going to absolutely love these. And again, it's getting cold up in Philadelphia. It's cold probably wherever you're living right now. And a nice warm pair of socks is exactly what you need to get through the rest of the football season and into the holiday season as well. Also needing to figure things out is the Eagles' current punt returner situation, as wide receiver Britian Covey is set to return from IR within the next 2 weeks, creating somewhat of a punt returner dilemma between last year's Pro Bowl returner in Covey and the current rookie sensation in Cooper DeJean. Now, if you ask Vic Fangio, he would rather Cooper DeJean not return punts just due to the fact he's an integral part of the defense, starting nickel cornerback. You get the point. But if you listen to Michael Clay's press conference today, it sounds like whenever Covey comes back, they could maybe mix and match at the punt return position. Listen to this.
Yeah, I can't say enough good things about Cooper, what he's done, not just only as a defensive player, but going back out there and, we kind of had a rough start in Tampa Bay, and that's just on me as a coach more than anything else. But getting him settled in after the bye week, he's done an unbelievable job. But like I said before, it's always nice to have 2 options. You get a little bit more creative with it, and having both Covey when he does return at some point, and having Cooper. So going forward, we feel confident, when Covey does get to come back, or, if it takes a little bit longer, that we have Cooper back there.
Now, worth remembering, Britton Covey broke a bone in his shoulder in Week 3 during the Saints game and has not been designated to return from IR just yet. I think Week 12 is probably the possible target date for that activation, but if DeJean stays as the punt returner, where does Covey kind of fit in on this roster? Does he take back the wide receiver 3 spot from Jahan Dotson? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down below. Now, speaking of receivers, there's a growing contingent of Eagle fans kind of demanding Kellen Moore and the Birds offense to start utilizing DeVonta Smith more. Over the past 6 weeks, Smitty has 6 catches or less in each of those games, and last week's Commanders performance had just 4 catches for 29 yards, drawing attention due to Jalen Hurts seemingly refusing to throw to a wide-open Smitty on 2 different occasions. Still, this is why film breakdown is super important, so hats off to PHLY's Fran Duffy for showing that it's not necessarily they aren't trying to get the ball to DeVonta Smith, they're just failing to do so.
All right, so let's take a look at some plays that were dialed up for DeVonta Smith in this game against Washington. You see him here in the slot. The Eagles are running some orbit motion here with Jahan Dotson, a playoff of the first play of the game where they threw this bubble screen to Dotson. It looks like DeVonta Smith and A.J. Brown are going to block on the perimeter. Go a little bit later. It's third down, and you see that DeVonta Smith is lined up in the slot, bottom of the screen in a 3-by-1 bunch set. He comes in motion just before the snap. This is basically going to be a rub route, a pick play designed specifically for DeVonta Smith against man-to-man coverage, perfectly executed there by the Eagles receivers. Jalen Hurts steps up into a clean pocket and steps right into a sack. I would say this was probably Hurts' worst rep of the night. A missed opportunity there on a play that was designed to go to DeVonta Smith, but on the very next offensive play, first play.
Now, the good news is if there's one wide receiver who is not worried about his targets, it's got to be DeVonta Smith, or if he is, he would never verbalize it or jeopardize the team anyway, so thumbs up for that. But it also sounds like the Birds offensive coordinator is trying everything he can to get the football to everybody in this offense, not just Saquon Barkley 35 times a game.
The beauty of what we have on offense, we got a lot of really talented players, and they all deserve opportunities in these games. And so, in the past game, when you have a game like that where you have a lot of rushing attempts and not as many passing opportunities, naturally those guys aren't going to get as many touches probably as they deserve and have earned. But I think those guys, you're constantly in conversation about those opportunities eventually present themselves. Again, like we said, not every game are we going to be able to rush 40, 45 attempts. We'd love to. But there's going to come different games and different styles, and that's the beauty of the NFL, that every week's a different challenge, and there's going to come a time we're going to have to sling it around and make some plays in some critical situations, and those guys will be ready.
Now, flipping over to the defense, and Philly's primetime matchup this Sunday is, of course, the Rams. It also featured the 2 top leaders for Defensive Rookie of the Year, and the Birds' Quinyon Mitchell and LA's Jared Verse. Now, Mitchell is the only cornerback in the NFL to face 375 coverage snaps and allow 0 touchdowns, while Verse is 6th in total pressures, 3rd in TFLs, and leads all rookies in pressures, pressure rate, and sacks. Now, if you ask Ron Jaworski on WIP this morning, Quinyon, Verse, he's pretty clear Quinyon's the guy. Jaw said, quote, "My immediate reaction was Deion Sanders. The hip turn, the head movement, it was just reminiscent to me in a flash of Deion Sanders. That's pretty high company, but that's what I saw. I think Deion's a little early here, but yeah, Quinyon has been absolutely insane. Still though, and unfair as it is, I think Verse's stats probably give him kind of an edge in the whole Defensive Rookie of the Year situation and will present a unique category and challenge for the Birds offense on Sunday night."
Yeah, relentless motor, premier player in this league. I think, you definitely see it. And him and a number of the other guys on the defensive line, they're doing a really, really good job. And, they're getting after the quarterback, pressuring him. I think they're doing a really good job in the run as far as utilizing their fronts and kind of stuffing out the run game. And so this will be a big-time challenge for us.
Speaking of Q, I'm giving away either his jersey, Zach Bond's jersey, or Saquon Barkley's jersey on my next show. So probably Thursday's show. Hit the subscribe button. That way you can go ahead and know when that happens. All the details are down below in the pinned comment on how to enter. Now, when talking about the Rams, the obvious major challenge has to be their receiving core, at least when it comes to the Birds' defense. And Vic Fangio, he emphasized that during his press conference today. The Rams are healthy. They're throwing the football extremely well. And Cup and obviously Nakua are going to be really tough on these cornerbacks.
Yeah, 2 really good receivers. They really have good karma, both of them, with Stafford. They're strong at the catch point. Both of them are strong receivers. Both are excellent runners after the catch. And, they have played, I don't know how many games, but more than a few without either one of them. For them to be at this point in the season with the injuries they've had speaks highly of their players and their coaching staff. And, now they're back pretty much to full strength offensively, and they'll be a tough group to defend.
Although one underrated part of the Rams so far this year is their offensive line. They're performing at an unbelievable level, giving up just 21 sacks this season. That's tied for the best in the league. For context, Philadelphia has 11 sacks on defense in just the past 6 games, which leads the league, so clearly strength on strength for this matchup on Sunday. The good news is Philadelphia has guys like Nolan Smith, who's been on an absolute tear the past couple of weeks and very clearly has gotten the attention of Vic Fangio.
Yeah, Nolan's been doing well. Obviously, speed and athleticism is his forte, and which is good. We need that. And he's been able to offset his, kind of being small for an edge position to really work on being physical enough to play the run, playing his blocks. And I think him and Wash has done a good job with him to get to where he's competitively good enough to play the run.
Nolan played in 50% of defensive snaps last Thursday, which was second best among edge rushers, only sitting behind Josh Sweat. Now tomorrow night, myself and Josh Davis will preview Rams versus Eagles as we usually do, but we're going to have a special guest in former Giant offensive lineman Justin Pugh, who we obviously hung out with during Thursday night's football game between the Commanders and the Eagles, so hit the sub button, join us for that. Going to be a ton of fun, and of course be ready for plenty more stuff happening as we get closer and closer to a Rams matchup on Sunday night. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.